Alrighty, guys, thanks for tuning in. We are here, second installment of What the Fuck and Who the Fuck Cares? The Mueller Investigation. So, let's go. After 2 years of this Mueller investigation, what have they found? Well, after Mueller just submitted his filing investigation to the Attorney General William Barr, they found no collusion, zero, between Trump and Russia, which is, this is the thing that gets me. No collusion, which way? What way? No collusion between Trump and Russia, right? And this is, I know there's a lot of people who understand this, but for those of you who don't understand, the media, the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, MSN, CBS, has been pushing this narrative as if it was a fact for over 2 years, that Trump colluded with Russia somehow to win the 2016 presidential election. And that's very specific. So if we dive into that, first of all, you have, well, let's wonder how you could, in fact, hack an election by voting machines, electronic voting machines. That would be one way. There are many other examples. That's the one thing I can think of off the top of my head. And what's so funny is the voting machines, the electronic voting machines. Do your research. Correct me in the comments. The Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC and the Clinton Foundation actually funded these voting machines. By the way, they donated. I don't know the exact number, but I believe it's over hundreds of thousands of dollars to the company that manufactures these voting machines, right? So that in itself would be voter fraud or voter collusion. How could you, as a person running for president, submit money to an organization, to a company that manufactures the voting machines that we vote on electronically? Now, you can do paper ballots. I would always recommend going paper ballots. That's the whole key in this entire our entire electoral college, our entire voting system. Paper ballots. Never vote electronically, because it's so easy. It's so easy for them, for not only the deep state, but it's so easy for them to manipulate that, or to say, hey, that vote got lost, we don't know, and then or your vote gets lost and they don't even care, for example. So that's one thing to note, that there was collusion by Trump to hack the election, essentially by Russian agents, and yet Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation was the one who paid over hundreds of thousands of dollars to the machines that were designated, that we voted on. We didn't vote on it, but that's where we punched our votes into, was these electronic machines. Okay, anyways, let's get past all that. We find out now the Mueller report has come out. Not essentially come out. It's over, right? There's no more indictments, no more criminal indictments being released. He's submitted his report to the Attorney General William Barr, who is trying to release now this entire 2-year report as quick as he can to the public. We want full transparency. transparency. I would agree that all American citizens want full transparency unless it is subjected to some kind of national security issue that we can't know about for national security. This has nothing to do with national security. William Barr wants to declassify, essentially, this entire Mueller investigation, which I think is great. We saw people for the past 2 years, go Mueller, indict Trump. Oh, we want to see what the Mueller report is going to bring because we know he colluded. Well, if you were one of those people, you got tricked, okay? And this is the way you got tricked. Because Trump knew he didn't collude with the Russians. Of course he didn't. He won the election by not the popular vote, although the popular vote may have been skewed because there were illegal people voting twice, dead people voting for Hillary Clinton. Look it up. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So let's not even take the popular vote. Let's talk about the Electoral College, which now you have the Democrats saying we need to abolish the Electoral College. These are the same people, by the way, who want to allow illegal immigrants to be able to vote in our elections. It's the only way they can win. So we have this whole Russian collusion. We have this whole Trump won by unfair means or something like that. I literally don't even... I do know what they're talking about, kind of, but I can't understand it. And it's absolutely insane. So now we find out there's no Russian collusion. Obviously, pardon my burp there. Obviously, Trump did not collude with the Russians to win the election. You go back to 2015, and you can look it up. Barack Obama was saying, and also Hillary Clinton said this, there's no way to hack a presidential election. There's no way to deceive the election. There's no way to do that. And then when Trump wins, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. He hacked the election by Russia, apparently, which is, and where they got this information from was the Steele dossier, which was paid by the DNC, who was the DNC paid a London reporter. There may be a few more chains along that line that I'm forgetting. Alright, I don't have right in front of me. The DNC paid somebody, and it all got connected to this London journalist, Steele, and that's where the Steele dossier comes from, that Trump colluded with the Russians. And they have no evidence of that, by the way. And that's how this entire Mueller investigation got started, by the Steele dossier. And if you look at the Steele dossier, and if you look at the people who wrote it, Mr. Steele, he's like, well, it was just, none of the information is verified. None of the information's, I don't want to say not correct, but none of it was, true. None of it was true. That's where this whole investigation got started with. And so you have the Democrats praising Mueller, say, hey, yeah, we want you to finish your investigation because we know Mueller colluded with Trump. And you have the mainstream, not that Mueller colluded with Trump, my bad. Trump colluded with Russia. And we have Mueller, who's like this oversight. And we have the mainstream media rooting for Mueller. Yeah, get Trump out of there. Prove that there was collusion and whatnot. I've seen t-shirts where people have, it's Miller time, the beer, like Miller Lite, Miller. This goes back a couple decades, but it's Miller time. That's their slogan, right? Except instead of Miller, it says it's Mueller time. Like, yeah, Mueller's going to be the one to get this guy out of office. It's Mueller time. I'm convinced now, at this point, I have been convinced for a while, Mueller was working with Trump, and this investigation wasn't about Trump this entire time. This was about investigating the DNC. For example, I'll give you the biggest fucking... Look at what happened to Seth Rich, by the way. Murdered by MS-13 gang members. Because Bernie Sanders won. He won the Democratic National primary. Hillary Clinton did not win. And Seth Rich exposed that. And he said, hey, wait a minute. Nobody likes Hillary Clinton. She didn't actually win. It was Bernie that won. And they fucking killed him for that shit. They murdered him. The DNC murdered him. Ooh, that's harsh to say. But he did get murdered because he exposed the fact that Bernie won the primaries for the DNC rather than Hillary Clinton. But they adjusted the votes because they had the voting machines. And then you have these people saying, oh, well, it's the Russians. I don't understand the whole obsession with Russia. Look at China. Anyways, okay. Brass tacks now. We're going to get into brass tacks. About the Mueller investigation. Now that it has concluded, now that there's no evidence that Trump colluded with Russia, first of all, there never was. He did not conclude with the Russians. And I don't understand why it took 2 years for them to figure this out. 19 of Hillary Rodham M. Clinton's staff, 40 plus FBI agents, $50 million, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses, 500 search warrants, and they cannot pry I'll say it again. 19 members of HRC staff, 40 plus FBI agents, $50 million spent. This is all not separate, but intertwined into this Mueller investigation. $50 million spent, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witnesses to testify, 500 search warrants. And they did not find a shred of evidence that Trump colluded with Russia. What did they find? Well, that will probably be released in the next few days or the next few weeks. That it was actually Hillary Clinton who was conspiring with the Russians. So I can't wait till that information comes out. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracist or anything, but I do believe that it was actually Hillary Clinton who conspired with the Russians. They never thought she would lose, and so they were careless about their acts between their text messages, between Peter Strzok, Strozk, however you spell his name, Lisa Page, all those people. No, we're not. Trump will not win. We will prevent that. Those are FBI agents. Those are people involved in the government trying to undermine a presidential election. And they never thought Hillary Clinton would lose. And that's the whole point why this is all getting brought out. So I'm under the impression that the entire Mueller investigation is brought upon by Trump to investigate and to indict. You look up the indictments, there's over 70,000 right now, sealed indictments. 70,000. That's almost more than any other president term or presidential cabinet, anything combined. Obama had like 6,000 during his 8-year term. And in 2 years, there's already been over 70,000 sealed indictments logged in the record. We will wait and see where those sealed indictments go. Who are they for? We don't know. We can only assume. We have Devin Nunes today saying, I think he's a congressman, I'm not quite sure, the Russian investigation against Trump that he colluded was essentially a false pretenses, false intel in the mainstream media was pumping this. There's no evidence of collusion. There never was. So my question, if you don't like Trump because you think he colluded with Russia, or if you don't like Trump because you think he's a racist, and I won't even get into all that, because that's completely untrue. Look up, if you would like, I'll do another webinar, podcast, whatever this is, on how Trump is not a racist. He doesn't hate Mexicans. He doesn't hate black people. Republicans don't. Republicans freed the slaves, and the Democrats voted against all of that. That's a whole other topic. Anyways, Trump's innocent in Russian collusion, any kind of collusion to hack the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton, fucking Bernie Sanders should have been the main candidate. So if you're a Democrat thinking that Trump is this evil person, he colluded with the Russians, stop watching the mainstream media. Look up the information for yourself, because it's entirely untrue. Bernie Sanders won the DNC primary. And you know what happened to the person who exposed that? You know what happened to Seth Rich? He got murdered by two MS-13 gang members, apparently. Shot in the back, was taken to the hospital, was still breathing, was still alive, and then just happened to die. Even though they probably could have resuscitated him. Anyways, before I get too off the charts here, this has been not sponsored by Newcastle. Guys, just do your research. That's all I'm saying. Don't hate Trump because you think he's a racist. Don't hate Trump because the media tells you to. And what's very funny is now, after the Mueller investigation is done, you see the media, the mainstream media on CNN, these reporters on CNN, MSNBC, well, we weren't actually thinking that Trump colluded. We were just looking for something. Like, what are you talking about? You've been spilling that Trump is a Russian agent for 2 years. Project Mockingbird. Look it up. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to let me go. Party on. Party on. Stay safe. Shit's about to break loose. I feel it's coming. So that's all I have for this evening. Alright, you guys. Party on.